Introduction to technical writing. Now, what is technical writing? So, technical writing is writing about a technical issue. First thing you need to understand is the word technical there. So, we have different types of writing. I know Petra would have done a good job in explaining that. I'm not an expert in those types of writing. So, but we have different types of writing. But the reason they call it technical writing because it has to do with technical. There are reasons why they call it technical. You are having to achieve a particular goal. They want you to give people step by step guide on how to understand how to use a product or how to use a tool. Now, going forward, they say rather than a specialized technical topic such as computers. Now, both Petra and Quentin also talked about technical writing is not just all about software. So it covers several other fields. But what you need to have in mind is that it is technical. If you go to engineering, let's say mechanical engineering, or let's say like the engineers that work our cars or our generators, now they want you to, okay, how can I change my plug in my generator? You can write a technical document. If you get to this place, you would see this. You would turn it like this, turn it like that, drag it out, use your screw spanner, use one long iron, turn it round, you bring it out, you change it. Now, that is a technical document showing you how to change a plug. But because it's not in the software realm, does not mean it's not technical writing. It is. So, but this program is focused more on software. So now, according to Cambridge Dictionary, the phrase technical refers to involving or needing special skills or knowledge, like I explained. So, which is the domain of expert and specialties. Now, as a technical writer, you need to understand what you want to write about. That is the simple truth. Now, it's always favorable to the software engineers. I know we have some software engineers in the house already. They'll be happy by now. So it's always favorable to come from the software engineering background to be a technical writer than coming from any other field. When I'm talking about software right now, it's favorable to them. So because they have already learned that software aspect, development aspect. Now they're also learning how to write, which is to me it's much easier compared to you coming from the writing world and you want to learn the technical aspects before going back to know how to write those technical documents. So it's favorable to them. Now, going forward, one other thing again to note is as a technical writer, there are several things you need to learn to help you improve. Anyways, we'll get that further. Now we have what we call the key characteristics of technical writing, the key features of technical writing. Now, if you go through so many technical documents, one thing you should note that one, most of them are very clear. It's very clear for you to understand. Now, if you see a technical document that is not clear for you to understand, let's say I don't want to explain much into the softwares because I know we have mix of software engineers and people coming from other fields. So I'm trying to balance it. Now, let's say I'll use a very good example like our phones, iPhone or Android phone. Now you bought a new phone and you want to understand how to on your Bluetooth as a first time user. Now, when you go through the manual, you probably would see a user guide, a document there that will tell you this is how to on your Bluetooth, this is how to on your Wi-Fi, this is how to connect to devices and send one file from here to the other. Now, if that document is not clear, first of all, it's not. That is very, very wrong. So it doesn't have that characteristics of technical writing. Now, which means you will have to start bugging either the customer care or probably they have support engineers to probably understand what that means and how to achieve that. Now, the second point, simple to comprehend, very easy to understand. Stop using ambiguous words. Stop using terminologies that people won't understand. Like Petra said yesterday, not trying to make it difficult for somebody to keep dictionary by the side to understand what you have written. So try to make it as simple as possible. Now, well organized, which is what our information architecture engineer will teach us in our next class to tell us how to organize our document. Have a style of organizing it so it will be easier to find. You have your look. Let's say you have your manual for your phone. You bought new. There are ways they organize it. You probably know where to find any information. Let's say I don't know how they do. I've not. It's been a while I checked that manual, though, but there are ways they will arrange it. Most of them do have this table of content. That is one way to make it very organized. Table of content and with numbering. Now, the table of content you're seeing, let's say the first side probably will have like about the phone or some other information. Then maybe the fourth point might be the Bluetooth, fifth point might be the Wi-Fi, and number four means number four of that user guide. So when you see that the number four there, you just swipe down to the number four and you're seeing everything about Bluetooth. That makes it well organized now, which means you can find Bluetooth very easily without even asking anybody any question, which means that has a very good characteristics. Now, the next point we'll talk about is detailed. Like she explained this today, try to explain in-depth stuff. Now, try not to make it difficult for readers to understand what you're writing. Try not to make it difficult for them to interpret what you have written. Try to make it as detailed as possible. When you're writing, most of the times, people have this lazy attitude at times, like, I don't really have like 1 hour to give this stuff. I cannot be writing trying to explain this thing. I think they should understand. Like she said yesterday, like in your head, yes, this is it, but that is in your head and not in their head. Whatever you think will make it easier for them to understand. Put it. Although in our course we also have this section for illustration and graphics, so which is our graphics expert will also teach us how to impute graphics in our technical document. So in this detailed aspect, try to explain and probably use any feature you think that could help make it easier for people to understand, be it graphics, be it video. You try to incorporate that to make somebody understand that this is what it is. Now, focus on the problem solving. Technical writing is technical writing. Technical writing is not storytelling or probably any kind of writing. You're trying to explain how somebody will use a laptop, how somebody use a phone, how somebody will on the Bluetooth, or how somebody would connect to an API, or how somebody would click from one button and get to the next screen. That is what you're writing about. You're not there to start writing all about stories. So focus on the problem, because technical writing is different from any kind of writing, which means that any reader of technical writer would always have one thing in mind. I want to understand how to achieve this. I want to know how to use this tool, this project, this API, this phone, or this gadget. I don't want to read stories. I want to read stories. I go to Amazon and order the books for that. So focus on the problem, explain more about the problem, how to achieve the problem, and don't try to deviate a bit, because readers are just trying to achieve the point. Now, let me give you one tip. When I started writing, then I was probably core engineer. I hate long stories. Like if I just go to probably let's say I'm searching, then I was probably more into Android, and I was probably searching for maybe an API or probably an SDK that will help me to achieve one of my tasks. And I get to that documentation, I start seeing like probably long story. What I'm searching for is just how to achieve that goal. Now, if I don't get that, I'll go to Stack Overflow as an engineer, probably where you have people write short documents to hit the point on the solution. And I go to Stack Overflow, somebody will just like click this, and you do this to work, and I do it works. That is what I want. I don't want giving me long stories. And that gives me joy because you've helped me solve my problem. So engineers don't really have that time to start reading so much. Now, in technical writing, we have, when we want to build a documentation, we have the section for the deep dive and different other sections though. Anyways, you learn that when it comes to the other part of the course. Now, in that deep dive section, which is same on the focus on the problem, they are trying to explain that particular topic in depth, where you get to understand it, how it's been done. Now, if I see a deep dive, I know it's a deep dive because I really want to understand in depth of it. But if I want to solve a problem and your topic of your article is how to achieve this, and you're writing so many stories, I'll get confused, or probably I might get annoyed, and I'll probably leave your page, or probably leave that. And one thing in technical writing is most times when most engineers are kind of not happy, you tend to lose other engineers because they'll probably like, hey, don't go to this site. If you get here, you get confused, and that's it. So try to focus on the problem. The straightforward is also explaining. I try to make it as simple as possible. Now, every writing has a goal. Everybody has a goal in life. And the primary goal of technical writing is to convey complicated information to readers and make it easier for them to understand. You see somebody built a phone. It's very complicated. If they tell you the steps they took in building a phone or building our generators or building the fridge or building any gadget at all, like if they tell you the steps, it's very difficult. But the reason why they want to have a technical article, the reason why they want to have a technical writer is they want somebody that would look at that difficult approach, that difficult step, make it look very easy for the users to understand. Now you have API documentations. Engineers, if they like, for me, I know I built some APIs in the past, and I probably, if I tell you the steps I took to build the APIs, like it's very difficult to achieve. Although they've tried to make it much easier nowadays. Now, but when you have a technical writer design an API doc for you, you'll see that they'll try to make it very easy. You won't know that it's very difficult to build an API. They'll make it very easy for you to understand. So the goal of technical writing is making difficult things look very easy so that the users will probably enjoy it. So they don't get to feel the pain. Now, going forward, everything has a life cycle. We have a life cycle. Um, Software engineers, software itself have a life cycle. That should be SDL, CL, thereabout. Now, also technical writing has a life cycle. Now, the technical writing life cycle is documentation development life cycle, DDLC. So it's a comprehensive documentation process. It's a process. It gets back to the last place and it goes back again. Now, the process starts with the requirements analysis, where you have the first, that is more like the first stage, which you probably have an idea you want to work on, and probably start thinking about the topic, start thinking about gathering all the information you need to get and push on with whatever you want to write about. Let's say, for instance, let me use something we understand. Okay, let's say you have a phone, and now you probably want to write about, now you have the manual but you feel the manual is not good enough. Now you want to write about how to, okay, let's say when we have Zenda and Flashia came out new, imagine the manual was not that easy enough. So now you want to write a document that will make it easier for people to understand how to transfer file from one phone to the other. So now, first of all, you probably start to gather more information about probably what is FlashShare, what it does, the feature it has, get so many information you need to get. Then you start designing, you get to the next phase of the design phase. So this phase covers the gathering and every other information you need to start writing your article. Probably talking to the SMEs, being the subject matter experts to get more information about the FlashShare, go to internet, make some research, before you get started. Now, if it comes down to the documentation section, where you've now designed your page where you want to write. If you're using Google Docs, you probably now know how you want to outline your document before you start writing. Now, the next stage is the development stage. You've gotten everything you wanted, you've designed everything you want. Now you start writing. Now, when you're done writing, then the next thing is for you to probably go through what you've written. Either you go through it yourself. If you're in a team, you probably have to give it to your teammate to go through and proofread, check if there are errors, and if everything is fine, they will publish it. Now, when you have published it, the public reads it, and maybe they find that maybe you want to improve it, or maybe you find some errors or find some issues. Now you go back again to maintaining what you have written, being going back to the first step again. You want to go back to gather some information on how to improve what you have written, design some sections you need to publish. Now write about everything you've gathered so far and the design so far. Go to the next step of editing and proofreading, publishing. It comes down to maintaining. It just goes like that. Because when you check some other technical documents, I'll probably check one and share. If you see a document that was shared like 1 year ago and you come back like the next 2 years, if you can screenshot the words and come back, you will see many things have changed. That is the cycle. It goes round and come back. Just like software. It has a life cycle. It always goes round. So now the next topic in technical writing that is very, very important is writing ethics. Now, writing ethics this is not just specifically to technical writing, probably in any writing. and every aspect of our life. But let me focus more on technical writing because that is what we're talking about today. Now, ethics is more like it's a rule. Every family has a rule. You know, you can have a rule in your family of when once it's 8 p.m., nobody goes out. Once it's 6 p.m., wherever you are, just rush down to the house. Now, that is your rule. Now, there are reasons why you keep rules because you want everything to be ordered. You want people to follow the rules so people don't get disorganized. Now, in technical writing, ethics, like I said, is a set of rules and standard for using resources when writing a technical document. Now, imagine you wrote a document published online and you're probably very happy, like, wow, this took me hours to achieve. And boom, somebody shared a document with you, then this is what I just come up with, or like this has taken me so much time. And when you're probably looking at the document, it looks very funny because this looking exactly like what you've written, like no changes, more like change of name of who wrote it and that's all. You go back to your document, let me be sure if my eyes are deceiving me or something. And it's same thing. Trust me, you won't feel very much happy about that. Now, even if it's somebody you don't know, you're going online and you probably see what you have written, even if it's a sentence you've seen somewhere, like in technical writing, the rules state that you need to credit the writer. So, as a professional writer, you should know the writing standards and obey them. Probably not everybody know much about the writing standards. They just feel, let me copy what the person have written and probably paste it and fix it. So mine just looks very fine. That is somebody's work. You know, try not to fix people's things. If you want to fix what somebody have written, credit the person that, hey, I credit this thing to you. Now, I'm not going to explain much about how we should credit that. We'll probably have that further in our class. So we'll have somebody that will explain that more to us. So, but you need to know much about technical writing ethics. Now, one is use credible sources when adding content to your document. You know, be sure of what you're adding. Don't just feel like, let me just add something. Be very, very sure about that. Now, don't present false information. Show respect to others when you're writing. Try not to be using harsh words probably in your writing. Now, please don't use any ideas from others. Plagiarism. So I don't want to say so much about that. Now, plagiarism is what I've been explaining before. Copy somebody's idea without their consent and publishing it without even crediting the owner of the document, which is not right. So that is one of the ethics that is not good. Now, don't ask for permission. Yes, you asked for permission and you went ahead to paste everything. Try to just read what the person have written, you know, understand it and explain it in your own way. Not like you took excuse from me, hey, let me take a permission. Like I like what you've written so far. Can I just take this part? You can go ahead and you just A to Z and you paste it. It's not good. Now be correct and honest in your writing. Don't manipulate data and statistics. Let's say you're designing okay, let me bring it down like to our politics. They're talking about P2B, talking about more about statistics. He makes wrong statistics and all that. Now, and they said he said he has his own source where he gets it from, which is the main source. And when you go online, you most times you browse online, even if currently now you want to browse online, like you want to know the current exchange rate of naira with dollar or naira to dollar, you probably see different figures everywhere. But you need to have a correct source. Some persons were like, I don't really have not really sure. Let me just fix this. I think it should get to this by this time. And you just fix a value because you just want to fix a value and you're not even sure about that. You manipulated the data and that will cause confusion. Now, let's say someone like P2B now, he reads that and feels that that is correct and he tells us the public. Now he has misled the public because of what you have written. So the rule states that don't manipulate data so you don't create chaos in the world. So I guess I would have to stop here. So if you have any question, we can ask them. We can go forward. Now I tried not to go that deep because we have other speakers that would um, talk more about other aspect of technical writing, so we can have more people with different ideas talk about it. So if you have any question, you can ask. Hello, no question.